brings me on to the next film I saw this weekend in UK cinemas. It was released on Friday. It's called Blockers or Cock Blockers. I'm just going to call it Cock Blockers because that's what it's called. It can hide around that all it wants, but it's called Cock Blockers, all right? Which is a raunchy. Ooh, raunchy. Now I sounded like an old person trying to get down with the youth there. It's a raunchy comedy. It is. It's an R-rated raunchy comedy about these kids that they form a sex pact on prom night. They want to lose their virginity that night, each for their own different reasons. And for whatever reason, the parents of these children find out that's what's going down, and they want to stop them having sex on prom night. That's the film. And again, it's another one this weekend I didn't really have any expectations for. The trailer did nothing for me. It just looked like another one of those comedies. But then a lot of people were saying, you know what, this is actually a really funny film. This is a nice, pleasant little surprise. So I expected to enjoy it. And I don't know. I don't think I'd say I hated it or didn't really like it. But I don't really think I'd say I enjoyed it on the whole. It's one of those films which is absolutely, categorically slap bang in the middle. It didn't really do anything for me either way. Which is either a shame or a nice surprise, either way you look at that one. But yeah, I mean, first things first, it's a comedy. It's obviously a comedy all the way through, and it does have funny moments. I'm not going to lie, a couple of moments throughout the film that made me chuckle. A lot of people around me in the cinema dying with laughter. Genuinely, like, some guy was, like, holding the seats. You ever seen that in a cinema when you're watching a comedy and people are laughing so hard, they're, like, holding the seats like they're going to fucking collapse or something? There was a dude doing that next to me. I mean, he's the only guy in the cinema doing that. So he was the odd one out. It wasn't like I was just sat there perfectly still and legit hundreds of people around me just collapsing and falling apart. It wasn't that. But there was a dude doing that, so take from that what you will. But yeah, people around me were enjoying this film. It was, for me, one of those comedies which I didn't ever really laugh out loud, but inside I was kind of smiling because there are funny situations in this film. But it's also a style of comedy where it has a tendency to take things a little bit too far at points. And I don't mean that in like, oh, I don't like that it was dirty. Like, I like stupid, dirty, slapstick, raunchy comedy as much as the next guy. I mean, like, it genuinely takes jokes on for a little bit too long. Like, a whole scene will be a joke, which wasn't really that funny at first, but you'll chuckle. And then given enough time with it, you'll realize it isn't actually that funny. And that's kind of what happens here. There are moments where it's a remotely funny situation. Someone says something funny, but the more they keep bashing on this joke, you realize it isn't that funny, really. But I did enjoy the performances throughout on the most part. I thought the teens in this film were surprisingly quite good. In a lot of films like this, I find that the teen characters can get annoying, and kind of in the same way as Ready Player One. In that side of things, you can get, there's a real risk that a film like this written by adults writing teens, the teens can just feel incredibly cringy and not like what actual teens are like. And there's kind of a few moments like this. There's one point where they're going through the emojis on the phone, like the parents find the phone of the kid or the laptop, and it's cycling through the conversation for about 15 minutes. They're just chatting about what different emojis mean. And I legit, I was cringing hard at that point. And I could see like older people in the audience were probably like, aha, this is funny because we don't know what these emojis mean. But also, what the fuck? Like, what was that scene? If you've seen it, you'll know what scene I mean. I don't know. It's like, oh, they're talking about all these emojis, and they're explaining these emojis from a parental side where they're completely missing the point, and they're like, oh, but the kids are calling it this, and it's like, God, this is not working for me. There's a couple of moments like that through the film. But yeah, actually, to get back to the point which I'm now rambling about, I enjoyed the teens in this film. I thought they were good. And actually, that's kind of something I enjoyed and also a big negative with the film. I really liked all of the stuff. Actually, yeah, all of the stuff with the teens. When it's them and they're going through their sex pact and everything that's going on with that, I actually really enjoyed that side of things. I enjoyed seeing them react to all the situations, and they were the funniest moments in the film for me, actually. But at the same time, I don't think there was enough of it in the film. And I know that's because the emphasis of this film is the fact that these parents are weird and they're trying to cock block their children. So obviously it's kind of split up and sided a little bit more with the parents on this one. But I constantly thought through the film, about every 20 minutes, I was reminding myself of the thought of, like, you know what? I just want to see more. I would like to see more of these teens in this film. I'd like to see more of that storyline. Every time it would cut back to the parents doing their thing, trying to find the kids, it just kind of, I was just always like, I want to go back to the teen stuff, you know? And I've seen a couple of people compare it to like older teen comedies that are very big, like Superbad and all that jazz. And I can see the links there, but it would have been more like that if it had been more focused on the teen side of the storyline. And that would have been a much better film, I think. An infinitely better film, because that's another thing that annoyed me about this film. The adults in this film are really fucking annoying. Straight up the worst people in the whole wide world. And they kind of play it for laughs, and a lot of the time it is funny. And I can see the ideas behind the fact that they've made these parents so ridiculously over the top, childlike. But I was constantly, there wasn't one scene with the parents where I wasn't thinking, God, I really, truly, from the bottom of my heart, fucking hate you as people. And I mean, like, John Cena is one of the dads, and John Cena's doing a good job, you know? Nothing amazing, but it's John Cena, okay? What more did we want from him? And he's having a fun time. So I was enjoying watching him. And his this very kind of like fatherly, typical what you'd expect a John Cena dad in a film to be playing. Like, he's very protective of his daughter against this guy with a smirk, all that jazz. And that is fine, you know? I'm down for that. But what really bugged me, the character that really fucking annoyed me, and maybe I shouldn't have got this annoyed by it, was Leslie Mann's mum. I can see why this character exists in the film and why they amped it up this much, because it does create the sort of situations in the film which are funnier. But my God, this mum is the worst person ever. Ever. Maybe the worst person ever in film. And I've seen a lot of films. And I've fucking seen Nightcrawler. Okay? The mum in this film is a worse person than Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler. I'm on record as saying it. She was awful, man. There's a joke in there somewhere about Leslie Mann's last name being Mann, but we're going to go on from it anyway. She was bad. And there were some touching moments in the film. It goes for these dramatic moments where shit gets real, you know, and the kids have their confrontations with their parents, and the parents have that moment in the film where is about 3/4 of the way through, inevitably going to happen, where they start to realize that they're being a little bit ridiculous. Obviously it's coming. Obviously it happens. And when it does come, one character, I actually, you know what, I thought that was executed well. And that's the dad played by Ark Barinholtz. I thought his kind of arc and him realizing that stuff, I actually really enjoyed that side of thing. But Leslie Mann's mum character in this bit, where she realizes how much of an idiot she's being and the different perspective her daughter has on it, my God, it annoyed me. And it's because it's just so stupid and so ridiculous, and I do not believe this mother would be that much of a terrible person to her daughter. And also, she has this moment of realization, but doesn't really seem, you know, to pull her head out of her ass. And that's the thing. The parents in this film are within their own buttocks, to the point where their own head might come out of their own mouth. And as I'm saying that, I realize how weird that was to say, and it's kind of frying my mind. But they're the most self-centered fuckers everywhere. Hated those characters. Hated them. And I know you're supposed to, but it really took me out of the film. But that being said, there are nice moments near the end, and there are relationships in the film between the kids and the parents that I enjoyed watching, mostly between Ike Barinholtz's character and his daughter. I really like that side of things there. I like John Cena's relationship with his daughter, and I thought that came to a nice head. But again, at the same time, it knows it needs to get to that point in the film where they are having their reconciliations and where the parents are realizing how stupid they're being and the kids are forgiving them. It happens so quickly compared to how utterly embarrassingly ridiculous the parents are being, to the point where if I was any of these kids, they may have legitimately ruined any street cred I have. And they're just like, it's fine. And then there's one scene for each of them where it's like, this is nice. And it wraps up too quickly. So yeah, it was a vaguely funny film. It was quite poorly written at points from a dramatic side of things. I hated the parents in it. I liked the teens in it. Also, a small thing I've got to bring up, but I don't think everyone's going to notice it, but it really bugs me when I see this in films. It's really, really quite terribly edited together, from like a continuity aspect, but also from just like matching shots and all that jazz in dialogue. You will see many points where clearly they've improvised these scenes from different angles and they haven't lined it up, and it will cut to a different angle, but this person will be looking in a different direction or not emoting in the same way they were before. And there's actually 2 points in the film I counted where John Cena's dialogue is legitimately just cut off by the cut to the next shot. And I cannot understand why it's in there other than the fact that it's just poorly put together. So yeah, shoddily edited, really sloppily put together, but it does have nice moments. It does have a couple of moments that made me laugh, and I was entertained throughout. So I can't say I enjoyed it that much or that I'd really recommend it. But I can't say it was that awful. It was a distinctly average and okay film, Blockers.
I'm truly